Welcome, Health Warrior. Today we're going to go over the gram-a-day RSO protocol, but with a twist. We're going to go over how to do it with a split of the high CBD feco and the high THC feco. We're going to do the high CBD feco during the day, high THC feco at night. And it's going to be like a 60-40, 65-35 split with more of the high CBD feco being ingested than the high THC feco throughout the day. Okay. So when we first start off, it's going to be equal because we're starting off small, and we're just going to do days 1 through 3, 4 drops of the high CBD feco during the day, and I call it the daytime formula, and then that high THC feco we call the nighttime formula. Okay, so the daytime formula, high CBD feco, you do 4 drops of that in the morning, just 4 drops, and you do it under your tongue, and you can do it like in a drink or on a like piece of food or something that you're going to ingest, but you could also just put it under your tongue. Okay, so 4 drops in the morning like we mentioned, and then 4 drops in the evening. So that's 25 milligrams morning, 25 milligrams in the evening, 50 milligrams total per day. Okay, and then days 4 through 6, you're going to move it up, just double it to 8 drops in the morning, the high CBD feco, the daytime formula, and 8 drops in the evening of the nighttime formula. Okay, so that's 50 milligrams each dose, so 100 milligrams total per day. And then from here on out, every 3 days, you're going to be moving up 100 milligrams. Okay, so that was days 4 through 6, 100 milligrams per day. Then you're going to do days 7 through 9. You're going to split the daytime into 2 different doses, and the nighttime is going to stay at 1 dose. Okay, so you're going to do 15 drops in the morning of the daytime formula, the high CBD feco, and 8 drops in the afternoon of the high CBD feco. Okay, so that's 150 milligrams total per day of the high CBD version, and then the nighttime uh, formula version, 8 drops at night. So it's the same thing you were doing previously, okay, with days 4 through 6. So 7 through 9 is the same thing, 8 drops at night. That's 50 milligrams plus the 150 is 200 milligrams total per day. Okay, so days 10 through 12, we're doing the daytime formula, and we're still doing 2 doses, but we moved it up from, we're doing the same thing, 15 drops in the morning, but instead of 8, we're doing 15 here. Okay, so 15 drops afternoon, 15 drops morning, 15 drops afternoon. That's a total of 200 milligrams for the high CBD feco for the day. And then the high THC feco, the nighttime formula, is going to be split into 2 doses now. Previously, it had just been 1 all the way through up until days 10 through 12. So now we're going into 2 doses, okay, of the nighttime formula. So 8 drops in like the early evening or mid evening, and then 8 drops just before bed, okay? And then what you call it? So so this is the most optimal way to do it. All right. So days 13 through 15, you're going to be moving the daytime formula, the high CBD version, up to 3 doses. Okay. So now we're doing 5 doses per day, and it's going to stay that way the whole way through. All right. So this is the most optimal way to do it, and we'll talk about if you're not able to do that many doses because of your work schedule or whatever. But this is the most optimal way to do it because you're getting multiple doses throughout the day, so it's a steady flow of health and healing that's entering your body, at a constant pace. So you always have it in you, and it's always working for you. And you tried it out, doing 1 big dose or 2 big doses at either end of the day when you get into these higher doses, and doing 5 doses as opposed to 2. There's a better difference. Like the results come quicker and better. Okay, that's just what we found over here. All right, so 15 drops days 13 through 15. You're now doing 3 doses like you mentioned of the high CBD version of the daytime formula. It's going to be 15 drops in the morning, 15 drops midday, and then 15 drops in like the afternoon, early evening, like before dinner kind of thing, right? And then the nighttime formula is going to stay at 2 doses, and it's going to be 8 drops in the early evening because that's the lighter dose, and you're going to be awake, you know, in the and not the early evening, but like after dinner kind of a thing, and then but we're going to be doing 8 drops there because you don't want to be totally blasted, you know, and then 15 drops, the heavier dose, just before bed. The reasoning for that is that by the time it kicks in and the high kicks in, you'll be asleep. Okay, so you won't feel it. And so 8 drops in the like after dinner kind of a thing, you know, like an hour after dinner, however you do it, and then 15 drops just before bed. So that's 150 milligrams of the nighttime formula, 250 of the daytime formula for 400 milligrams total per day. Okay, so days 16 through 18, you're going to be at 500 milligrams per day. So you're halfway to the goal of 1,000 milligrams per day total of combined of the daytime and nighttime formula. Okay, so this one's really super easy because it's the same dose for all 5 doses. As you know, the daytime formula, high CBD version, 15 drops in the morning, 15 drops midday, and 15 drops in the late afternoon. Okay, and then the nighttime formula is 15 drops in the evening, and then 15 drops just before bed. Okay, so that's days 16 through 18, 100 milligrams each dose, 5 doses, 500 milligrams total per day. Days 19 through 21, you're gonna go in the morning of the for the high CBD daytime formula. In the morning, you're doing 30 drops. That's a full dropper. Okay, and then and so that's going to be your morning dose, 30 drops, and then the midday and the afternoon doses are going to be 15 drops. Okay, so that's 400 milligrams total per day of that. And then the nighttime formula stays the same as the previous 3 days, just 15 drops in the evening, and then 15 drops just before bed. That's 200 more milligrams plus the 400 is 600 milligrams total per day. Okay, so days 22 through 24, it changes up a little bit. So it stays at 5 doses, but it actually stays the same for the daytime as the previous 3 days. 30 drops in the morning, 15 in the midday, and 15 in the afternoon. And then the nighttime formula goes up to 22 drops. Okay, so that's 150 milligrams, per dose. So you're doing 22 drops in the evening, 22 drops just before bed, and the total for that day is 700 milligrams. Okay, days 25 through 27, you're at 800 milligrams per day, and you're going to be doing 30 drops in the morning for the high CBD feco, 15 drops midday, and then 30 drops in the late afternoon. Okay, and the nighttime formula, it stays the same as the previous 3 days, where you're doing that 22 drops in the evening and 22 drops just before bed. And then the total combined for that day, for those 3 days, days 25 to 27, are 800 milligrams per day. Okay, and then you go to days 28 through 30, and the daytime formula, this high CBD version, it goes to a full dropper or 30 drops for all 3 doses. Now, you could count out 30 drops if you want to, but also you could just squeeze the bulb completely and then release it slowly, and it'll pull up 30 drops. Okay, because 30 drops is a full dropper, so it's actually gets easy at this point. So so it's just a full dropper for the morning, the midday, and the afternoon for the high CBD feco, and the nighttime formula, it's going to stay the same as the previous 2, the 3 days, and then it's 22 drops in the evening and 22 drops just before bed. So that's 900 milligrams total per day. And then days 31 through 33 is where you get to the gram per day. Okay, and that's where it gets easier. It's a dose because you're doing way more, but it's a full dropper for every single dose for all 5 doses. You don't really have to think about it too much, and you just squeeze the bulb completely of the tincture, release it slowly, and then you can put it under your tongue. And you can put it in coffee or whatever. But the hardest thing about putting it under your tongue is counting drops And if you're doing a full dropper, you don't have to count drops, right? You're just squeezing the whole thing under your tongue, holding it there for like 30 to 60 seconds, and then swallow the rest down, whatever doesn't absorb. Okay, so days 31 through 33, just to clarify and confirm, you're doing a full dropper in the morning of the high CBD feco, a full dropper midday, and a full dropper in the afternoon. And then the nighttime formula, the high THC version, you're doing a full dropper, 30 drops in the evening, and a full dropper just before bed. Okay, so that's the most optimal way to do it. And if you have trouble doing all 5 doses, then let me know and we'll adjust it down to like 4 doses or whatever it needs to be, because you need to make sure that you're doing all the doses so you get all of the milligrams in your body that you need to for that day, or that's recommended for that day. Okay, so like if you were to on days 31 through 33, and then beyond that, it's you're just doing the gram a day for anywhere from 45 to 90 more days usually. And it, like if you miss a dose, especially if you miss, that's 200 milligrams. If you miss 2 doses for whatever reason, that's 400 milligrams. So instead of 1,000, you're getting 800 or 600. And if it happens all like frequently, then that's an issue. Every once in a while, no big deal. But if you're missing doses all the time, like I just can't get that 5th dose in, or like I'm missing one in the middle of the day because of whatever, then let me know and we'll adjust you down to like 4 doses or 3 doses or whatever. Okay, 3 doses would be the minimum, though. I would say, to get the most optimal results sooner than later. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. That's the CBD feco and the THC feco, or RSO, it's also known as. Now I'm going to go over the 2 other supplements that make up the trifecta of health. Now you may or may not have gotten these, but they're highly recommended, and we call it the trifecta of health for the reason. The cannabinoid stuff, the high CBD feco and the high THC feco, they're the king. They're if you're going to get one of the 3, you would get those. Okay, the feco or the RSO. And the MSM crystal, Shilajit elixirs, they're super essential for optimal health, though. And that's why I promote the trifecta of health so much, because it is so essential, especially in today's world. So MSM crystals, that you're going to do 2 teaspoons, which is 7 grams in the morning, and you can do it first thing in the morning. One of the tips with the MSM crystals, you dissolve them in the water, and I have a video on how to do that on the YouTube channel, and I'll probably provide a link to it in the email that you received this video in as well. But you could, when you mix it together and you dissolve the crystals in the water, when you drink it down, it's only in about 4 ounces to 6 ounces of water, and you just drink it down. The last little bit that's in your mouth, before you swallow it down, you swish it in your mouth, and you swish it around for like 30 seconds or more, but at least 30 seconds. And we found that helps to keep your teeth and your gums healthy. And if they are unhealthy, it helps to get them healthy. Okay, so we've had several people that had inflamed gums, or different tooth and gum issues, receding gums, etc. And the doctor wanted to do some kind of gum surgery on them and stuff like that. And they did this exact procedure, and their gums and teeth got healthy. And the dentist said, "I don't know what you did, but you don't need your gum surgery anymore." Okay, so so it has real world application doing that, and it's just a good thing to do just for preventative maintenance. But 2 teaspoons, which is 7 grams in the morning, and then 1 teaspoon in the afternoon or early evening. So that's 10.5 grams total per day. And with the condition that you have, that you're taking the gram a day protocol for, 10.5 grams is a good dose. It's not a mega dose, but it's a really good dose to do. And one of the jars, which is the white jar back there, is all by himself. That'll last you approximately 30 days, okay, a month. And then the Shilajit elixirs is so, by the way, notice that it's morning and afternoon or early evening, and not morning and late night, right? So So the reason is that the MSM and the Shilajit especially can give you energy, and so you don't want that to interrupt your sleep. So you do it like before dinner, just after dinner, whatever. But and you can do them together too. Okay, the MSM crystals and the Shilajit, and if you're doing a dose of CBD, like whatever, or the in the early evening, you want to do this along with it, then you can as well. Okay, so the Shilajit elixirs, you're doing 250 milligrams in the morning, 125 milligrams in the evening, 375 milligrams total per day, and it's the 10-gram bottle, which is the boxes that you see directly behind me. Um, one of those bottles should last a month at that dose, I believe. Okay, so 250 milligrams is basically, oh, it says 15 drops there, but it's actually 20 drops, and then so 250 milligrams is 20 drops, and the PDF that you get will have this corrected in there. I think I could correct it in here right now. Hold on for a second. So it's 20 drops, and then 125 milligrams is 10 drops, and then so the the way you do this tincture is different. So this is it's crucial that you understand this. You don't put it under your tongue. It has a strong earthy taste, So if you put it in water or coffee, like hot coffee or hot tea, but water is really easy. Just like 3 or 4 ounces of water. Just do the 10 drops or 20 drops depending on what dose you're taking, and you don't even have to mix it up. You can mix it up, but you don't even have to. So that's what's so cool about it. And you just drink it down. There's a really pleasant taste, almost like a tea, just by itself, and it's really like I said, you could do it in room temperature water, no problem, and you just drink it down and doing it that way. The Hindu masters, it's an Ayurvedic, um, you know, herb or whatever you want to call it, and they stated that it's better to do it that way as opposed to doing it under your tongue. So I just go by what they say because it's part of their culture. So so again, 250 milligrams, 20 drops in the morning, 125 milligrams, 10 drops in the afternoon or early evening, 375 milligrams total per day. And that's it for the trifecta of health. And remember that the MSM crystals and the Shilajit elixirs are morning and afternoon and early evening, not morning and late night. Okay. And reach out if you have any questions or you need to have your the protocol adjusted for you from like 5 doses down to 4 or 3 or whatever. Okay. So Al Marenton, My Fit Life. Hope you have a beautiful day. Peace.